This video was made possible by News Voice, a democratized news app created to fight back against the filter bubbles and the corporate control of the media. Download this app for free at newsvoice.com/Jimmy or click the link under this video. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here at the miserable liberal, Ron Placone. Ron Placone has a CD release party this Thursday at the Sycamore on Sunset in Hollywood. And you also are going to be out of town. What states?
Yeah, January, Florida, and then March, New Orleans, and then April, I'm going to be in Texas. Tickets all available at ronplacone.com. More dates are being confirmed.
Okay, so we've been really covering the Russiagate here, and well, all we do is ask for evidence, right? So there's a lot of hatred, just like when Barack Obama was president, and people were screaming, "Where's his long-form birth certificate? He's not a real citizen." You know, you go, "Well, we'd like to have some evidence to confirm your conspiracy theory that the president isn't a citizen," and there never was any, right? So this is the same thing happening. People hate Trump so much, they're willing to believe anything about him. And so we just keep asking for evidence here. And there's absolutely no evidence. We've shown that on this show. We've had William Binney, the top code breaker from the NSA and a whistleblower, come on the show to say the NSA would have the evidence, and there is no evidence. If they have a copy of everything that takes place on the internet, and they could just show us who hacked those servers, and they haven't. We also showed you a million times over. Even the head of the CIA admitted there isn't any evidence. We showed you that. And now we're showing you how mainstream news is starting to get people prepared for the Mueller report to be a nothing burger. Okay? They're getting them on regular crimes like obstruction of justice or money laundering or something like that. So now the thing that's happening with Julian Assange is that people are smearing Julian Assange because the deep state doesn't like him because he reveals their secrets. The corporate state doesn't like him for the same reason. The war machine doesn't like him for the same reason. They all want to kill him. Julian Assange. Why? Because he's doing journalism by printing their secrets and exposing the corruption of governments and the powerful. So The Guardian, which is usually a good newspaper, they do horrible coverage of Julian Assange. They employ this guy, Luke Harding, who we showed you. He wrote a book called Collusion, and when he was interviewed by Aaron Mattei and he was asked to show evidence of this collusion that he wrote a whole book on, instead of showing the evidence, he obfuscated, told more BS stories, and eventually hung up. He just left the interview. And so now he's written a new article. He's written a new article in The Guardian. Manafort held secret talks with Assange in Ecuadorian embassy. Exclusive. Trump ally met with WikiLeaks founder months before emails hacked by Russia were published. And there it is, Luke Harding, who's a discredited liar. He's the worst of the worst, Luke Harding. Okay. So, and his whole career has been that way, by the way, but he's still employed by The Guardian, which just goes to show you that if you lie on behalf of the establishment, you'll always have a job.
Well, he's making a desperate grab for 15 minutes.
Yes.
So, that's exactly what he's doing.
That's exactly what's happening. So, by the way, this story came out right on the eve. Well, we'll get to that at the end. But I'm just going to show you what a ridiculous, and a lot of people, even people on the left, covered this story uncritically. So this is just another smear job. This is how propaganda works. This is a smear job by the mainstream news establishment to smear Julian Assange at the behest of governments, corporatists, and the military industrial complex. That's what this is. And that they use an outlet like The Guardian to do it and a tool like Luke Harding to do it. And then people, even on the left, repeat this story uncritically. I'm going to show you that the people who are reporting this story uncritically probably haven't even read the story. Because I'm just going to go through The Guardian story with you and show you how a dumb jagoff nightclub comedian like me, C-student, can see right through it. So if I can see right through it, I know the editors at The Guardian can see right through it, and which means they're all in cahoots pushing propaganda. And those people on the left who have been reporting this uncritically can see through it too, but are blinded by their hatred for Trump. And now they're doing bad reporting. because of Trump. Trump has been the undoing of a lot of good news people because he excites their lizard brain and they throw all journalistic standards out the window, and now they're attacking Trump the way Fox News used to attack Obama. There's plenty of stuff to attack Trump on. So the fact that you have to go reach every conspiracy theory and throw it at him, it shows that when given the opportunity, most of the people on the left could be just as unscrupulous as the people at Fox News when Obama was president. You're supposed to be, as a progressive, you're supposed to be consistent. So here's the story. Want to go through the story? Here's the story. Donald Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, held secret talks with Julian Assange inside the Ecuadorian embassy in London and visited around the time he joined Trump's campaign, The Guardian has been told. Yeah, well, I was told the moon was made of cheese. I'm waiting for evidence. The Guardian has been told. And they told it to who? Luke Harding, who wrote a whole book without a fact in it called Collusion. Sources have said Manafort went to see Assange in 2013, 2015, and in spring 2016, during the period when he was made a key figure in Trump's push for the White House. Sources. So this is the horrible Luke Harding, who has wrote a whole book full of innuendo and smears without any facts, now publishes this bullshit article without, again, sources, we've been told. So your BS detector should be on full alert because it's Luke Harding. And it's The Guardian, which has a history of doing horrible reporting about Julian Assange because they have a bias towards him. Manafort's first visit to the embassy took place year after Assange sought asylum. Two sources said. Again, nobody's... Why don't you say 50? Why don't you say 80 sources? Two? Now two? That you won't tell me who they are? A separate internal document written by Ecuador's Sinane Intelligence Agency and seen by The Guardian lists Paul Manafort, which is misspelled. This is such a high-quality document, they misspell his name. So the Ecuador's their version of the CIA at the Ecuador, they gave a document to Luke Harding over at The Guardian that, by the way, they're not going to show you in this article. They don't ever show you the document, so there's no way anybody could check it. Just somebody at this spy agency in Ecuador, which we now know is compromised and being run by a right-winger who wants to get Julian Assange. Because why? Because the bankers and the military-industrial complex is paying him off in Ecuador to turn on Julian Assange and the former president of Ecuador, by the way, who was a lefty. So that's what's happening. They don't tell you any of this. Of course they don't tell you any of this.
They also don't tell you that one source claims the internal document was written in crayon. I'm the one source. Journalism. I'm doing it.
I have another source. So listen, just watch this. Let's just read this paragraph. This is an amazing paragraph. Amazing for how horrible it is, and that it was allowed to be printed in a newspaper that's supposed to have an editorial standard. So watch this. It says, a separate internal document written by Ecuador's Sinane Intelligence Agency and seen by The Guardian lists Paul Manafort, misspelled, as one of several well-known guests. It also mentions Russians. That's it. It mentions Russians. Does it mention Jews? What else does it mention Italians? It mentions Russians. That's the new slur. And it doesn't tell you what it says about Russians. It could say Russians weren't there. It just mentions that Russians they have some good caviar. What did they say about? They don't even. So in the article, they don't even say what the intelligence agency says about the Russians, and everybody who reads this just goes, "Oh, I guess that's okay."
I just picture someone like unraveling like a scroll, and they're like, "We got it," and it just says Russians. Like, this is big.
I also think it's hilarious, Jimmy, that Paul Manafort, several well-known guests, he's so well-known they can't spell his name right.
Right. I know. So look at that. That's an amazing. They're just hoping that the people, I don't know. I'm guessing the people who wrote this or put this in this article, the people at The Guardian, are hoping that you're a moron. Or that you are sufficiently worked up in a lather over Julian Assange and Trump that you just accept bullshit like this. And people do all the time. Everything Luke Harding writes is like this. I could write this drunk. This guy has a job. This guy gets paid to write this stuff. I could write this drunk, left-handed.
3 sources say he was drunk.
This isn't journalism. This isn't even writing. This is bad BSing.
I think that's what happened. I think Luke Harding saw his book sales and saw a little bit of a decline. He's like, release bullshit bomb number 12. I want to see a spike in my Amazon.
Here, this article goes on. According to sources, again...
The sources.
Manafort, well, they spelled his name right this time. Manafort returned to the embassy in 2015. He paid another visit in spring 2016, turning up alone around the time Trump named him as his convention manager. This visit is tentatively dated to March. So, look they got him coming and going all the time, right? I'll give you one more. Manafort's 2016 visit to Assange lasted about 40 minutes. One source said, adding that the American was casually dressed when he exited the embassy, wearing sandy-colored chinos, a cardigan, and a light-colored shirt. That sounds like Manafort. Boy, if only someone was smart enough to have a video camera somewhere near the Ecuadorian embassy. I mean, there's got to be one. I mean, I bet there's probably 1,000. And none of them picked up this American casually dressed when he exited the embassy, although they know exactly what he was wearing.
They know exactly what he was wearing. Sandy-colored chinos, a cardigan, and a light-colored shirt, but they can't tell me who the source is.
But that was the one source with a hell of a photographic memory.
Yes.
The rest of them, the other two were like, we're not really good with, we're not fashion experts, and the one was like, I'm good at this, and was like, it was cardigan.
Let me tell you something about the Ecuadorian embassy. There are more cameras pointed at the Ecuadorian embassy inside and out than there are in a camera shop. How about that? There's got to be 1 million frickin' cameras pointed at the embassy. They got no video. They got cameras inside the embassy. They get cameras in the reception. They got cameras on the street. They got cameras inside the rooms. They got cameras everywhere. Countries have cameras pointed at Ecuador. Ecuadorian embassy. Are you kidding me? And there's no picture. Nobody got ooh. I wonder why there's absolutely no evidence, and the only stuff that Luke Harding and The Guardian tells us is just anonymous. I wonder why. Maybe because it's made up? Maybe because it's completely made up? Visitors normally register with embassy security guards and show their passports. Sources in Ecuador, however, say Manafort was not logged. That's in the article. And they hope you read that. I put that in bold, and I highlighted that in red. They say, so that's just regular print in the article. So you would hope, I guess they're hoping you don't notice, or you're a moron, or you're sufficiently foaming at the mouth over a Julian Assange that you don't care that that's ridiculous. So they know what the fuck he was wearing, but he wasn't logged in. Isn't that something you think? You would log in a guy who's coming from America.
Wearing chinos.
To visit Julian Assange. Nope. No log. Really? So the people, so the Secret Service or the CIA, or the intelligence agency from Ecuador didn't think to make sure everybody signed in? Of course they did.
Well, maybe it was just such an unassuming cardigan. They were like, he's fine.
But the one guy they don't log in is the linchpin to this entire investigation. What are the chances? 0. That's what the chances are. 0. And that's why the story's bullshit. And if anybody read it, they would know immediately, if they weren't already worked up into a frickin' lather and they can't see straight. Have you seen people reporting the story uncritically? I have. It breaks my heart. It's hard to watch. This is the kind of shit the left is supposed to be exposing, not pushing. This is propaganda of the highest order. And if you consider yourself a news person and you're on the left and you can't see through this shit, you should take a vacation and get your fucking head on straight. In sum, The Guardian published an article today that it knew would explode into all sorts of viral benefits for the paper and its reporters, even though there are gaping holes and highly sketchy aspects to the story. That's a media pattern we've seen over and over with this story. Yes. And then they took so much accurate criticism for this story after they published it that they decided to change the headline. So now the headline used to be this. This was the original headline. Manafort held secret talks with Assange and Ecuadorian embassy. Now here's that. Manafort held secret talks with Assange and Ecuadorian embassy. Sources say.
Oh, great clarification.
Sources say. And here's what WikiLeaks says to that. Remember this day when The Guardian permitted a serial fabricator, which is what Luke Harding is. Go watch his interview with Aaron Matei at Real News. The guy's a joke. Someone as dumb as me can see right through him. Remember this day when The Guardian permitted a serial fabricator like Luke Harding to totally destroy the paper's reputation. WikiLeaks is willing to bet The Guardian $1 million and its editor's head that Manafort never met Assange. Let's remember, WikiLeaks has never had to retract anything they've ever printed. The Guardian has to do it on a daily basis. And this whole article should be retracted, and they should issue an apology to journalism. So this is Assange's legal team. They tweeted this out. Incredible. The Guardian is running an entirely bogus story as its front page headline just hours before the RCFP U.S. EDVA hearing on the unsealing of the Assange indictment. Dan Collins and Luke Harding have been peddling entirely false Russia propaganda for months. Hashtag fake news. These guys, Luke Harding, these guys are the traitors of journalism and the First Amendment and freedom and liberty and all that is right. Julian Assange exposes war criminals. These guys cover for them. That's your establishment news. And what pains me is to see lefties repeating shit from The Guardian and Luke Harding uncritically. Oh, by the way, if you go on Twitter, Hannah Jonathan, the Assange legal team, if you go on there, this is how their account comes up. That's how their account. Oh, you think it's because she was calling someone a name or something? Or no, it's because they're printing stuff that's important. That's why. This is what your social media does. This is Orwell in action. That's what this is. Do you know this person doesn't follow anybody? Hannah Jonathan doesn't follow anyone on Twitter. But temporarily restricted because it's one big capitalist gangbang run by oligarchs, and you're not invited to the party. And if somebody wants to tell you the truth about war or our oligarchs, this is what happens to them. This is the world we're living in. I'm surprised I'm allowed to say this on YouTube, which is owned by Google, which is a big part of the problem. Google right now trying to figure out how to advance censorship in China for profit. How to help communist organizations who want to suppress their people and limit freedom. Google's going to help. And they're helping right now inside the United States by suppressing our videos. Their algorithms done in secret, which should be a scandal right there, has been screwing independent news, and you know that. And they're pushing the establishment narrative. Well, this is also that. Look at that. This is Twitter doing it. Facebook just got rid of 800 pages that are critical of the establishment. But the left will keep fucking doing this. They're so caught up in their hatred of Trump that they can't see straight. They can't even see straight enough to defend Julian Assange. That's how fucked up the left is right now. When I say the left, I mean people who call themselves the left. Democrats aren't left. The Democratic Party is not left by any stretch of the imagination. The Democratic Party is the problem. So there you go. I wanted to cover that. And now you know why when Trump says fake news, now you know why it lands. And so making fun of Trump calling fake news also doesn't help. All this shit that the people who consider themselves anti-Trump, it doesn't hurt him. He called Adam Schiff Adam shit. That doesn't hurt him. Look what he called Jim Acosta a jerk. That helps Trump. You know why? Because the mainstream news media sucks. That's why we are here. That's why they do this. God damn it. Anything else? I'm done.
Well, I go to Luke Harding on Twitter, and I can still access his Twitter
account.
Isn't
that weird? You can get at his account even though he's spreading lies constantly.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, when the Guardian article hit, a bunch of corporate media outlets picked it up, ran their own article, basically parroting the Guardian. The source they point to was the Guardian.
Yes.
A not sourced article. It was like, this is a real life game of propaganda telephone.
Yes.
That's what this is.
That's exactly how it happened. It's exact. I saw lefty news shows reporting this uncritically right from the Guardian, and they don't even point out it's not fucking sourced.
And you know what? I'll be totally fair here. You know who actually in one tweet expressed a little bit of skepticism? This will come as a surprise. Chris Hayes. Chris Hayes in a tweet kind of like was like, well, I don't know if this is totally legit, but if it is, it's a big deal. He at least gave a little disclaimer at first.
But if it is, but I'll still push propaganda at the same time. Could you imagine him, Chris Hayes, during the McCarthy time? I don't know if this McCarthy's right, but if he is, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's essentially what he did. But to be totally fair, there was a little disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah. That's why Chris Hayes is gutless. Chris Hayes is gutless. He's gutless. And I can't wait he's so tall, though. He's like 6'5" or something. I walked by him at the DNC convention, and he was gigantic. And he walked right past me. He did not want to talk to me. He walked as fast as he could past me. And I was like caught off guard. I was like, oh, well, I never planned. Like, what would I say to him? Next time, I'm just going to tackle him. If you grab someone by their ankles, they go over. I used to wrestle. So I'll just tackle him. And how much could his $5,000 suit hurt? I bet it's padded. I bet it won't hurt. $5,000 suit will help. Okay, there you go. Another bullshit story about Russiagate and Julian Assange. These are journalists shitting on Julian Assange. Someone they should be sticking up for at the top of their lungs, but they're not. So now you know why the establishment news sucks. And they'll never get pity from me because of Trump calling them names. Ugh. If they didn't suck that hard, you know what I would be doing? I would be sleeping right now, getting ready to go out and do comedy. But since they suck so hard, there's this huge lane open for me, someone like me, to come and tell you the fucking truth. Thanks for leaving that lane open, Chris Hayes. Thanks for leaving that lane open, Jake Tapper. Thanks for leaving that lane open, The Guardian. Our next live Jimmy Dore show is February 1st in Burbank, California. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a list of all our live shows, and please become a premium member if you can. Become a patron. It's the way we support this show because they're coming at us, and we give you bonus. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Check it out. Become a patron. And if you can, make sure you're still subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I know it sounds crazy. It only takes a second. Please make sure and click that bell when you subscribe so they'll send you a notice when we drop a video. Thanks for your support.